Welcome back to another episode of San Diego Prep Insider. Christian Pedersen, Tommy Morris, Bodie De Silva. Bodie joining us on behalf of Scorebook Live, the official digital content provider of all things CIF sports, all things high school sports. They're a great app to have. They're a great website to check out. You can figure out everything there at sbliveca.com or scorebooklive.com, or if you just Google Scorebook Live or SB Live, you will be able to figure it out. The internet, the world is your oyster. I'm sure you'll be able to figure it all out. Also, let's say thank you again, as always, to the U.S. Army for everything they are doing before we get to our division preview. Division I, thank you very much to the U.S. Army for all their support all season long. Let's talk D1. Mission Hills, El Camino is one of the games. Mater Dei Catholic, Cathedral Catholic is another one. Cathedral and Mater Dei is a rematch. El Camino, Mission Hills is a rematch. D1 can always go wonky in terms of and the intern, as always, wants to chime in on the background on all this. As we say, thank you, thank you, Kingsley. D1 can always go a little wonky because sometimes you end up with that number one seed just runs away with it, yada, yada, yada. It wasn't that close of a year. Sometimes you end up with there was a ton of friendly fire and the 9 seed of D1 makes it out as there's never really a universal satisfactory, the best team kind of won it. It's always a little bit of the Wild West and you always get some kind of crazy things happening in it. Mission Hills is the number 1 seed, and at 42-0 last week over Saints, they look dominant. But I think you look at the rest of these teams, and not one of these other teams would it be a surprise if they came away as the champion. So I'm really curious where you guys are going to go with ultimately who's going to win next week. But for at least this week with our semifinal matchups, who you think is going to come out on top? Let's start with you, Tommy Morris, Mission Hills and El Camino.
Mission Hills, El Camino. I mean, El Camino's defense has been lights out all season long. They just held Felix to a little bit over 200 yards on offense. Huge special team touchdown by Eldon Hurd, kick return touchdown in the third quarter that ends up being part of the reason why they win this game. I think they just needed a little more offense in this one to be able to hang with Mission Hills. 3-headed monster of Sauce, Williams, and Smith for the Grizzlies might be too much for them. I think Mission Hills bear crawls on to Snapdragon Stadium.
Not at Snapdragon, unfortunately.
Never mind. I was joking.
They're going to bear crawl. Yeah. I think this one bear crawls to Southwestern.
Longer crawl,
but
correct.
Yeah,
on the 25th.
Same freeway, just longer crawl. Bodie, your thoughts on Mission Hills, El Camino?
Yeah, so they played a few weeks ago, and I was at this El Camino game last week, a last-minute touchdown run, a great comeback by them. I'm going to go with El Camino here, excuse me. They lost 14-13 the first time. I really like what they're doing. Defensively and special teams, they stepped up. The offense certainly could use some more work there, but I don't think it's going to take 500 yards of offense to go win this game. I think if they can grab a turnover or 2, make a big play on special teams, I think they can get this done. I really like what they're doing, and they were playoff tested last week on the road, and they're going to have to do it once again.
That's
499 yards of offense.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's Bodie keeping his third eye open to El Camino losing regular season games intentionally to keep their championship hopes alive.
And after Coach Hobbs reminds me that I pick against them every playoff game. So.
Yeah, man. That's how Michael Hobbs is in his comfort zone on the road, down 7 in the playoffs. That's when that's normal for him. Everything after that is just icing on the cake. Other side of the bracket, Mater Dei and Cathedral opened up the season, largely opened up the whole high school season. They were the big grandiose initial game. KUSI did the broadcast. It was a lot of fun. The football itself, I would argue, was a little sloppy. I think that early in the season, even the best teams in San Diego don't always look perfect. They're not always in sync. There was, room for growth on both, whatever you want to end up calling it. Mater Dei, 41-9 last week. They look really, really good offensively. They look kind of like they were promising they were going to look all season. Cathedral Catholic, 30-10 last week over Torrey Pines. They look like maybe they have eased some of the questions about how good they were this season because they really, truly did play a really tough schedule. I'm curious though what you guys think of this one, because rematches are always sort of, you toss out the traditional like way it matches up and you got to go, they make adjustments and what coach out coaches the other. Like there's so many layers to a game like this. So I'm curious what you guys think. Bodie De Silva from Scorebook Live, let's start with you. Your thoughts, modern day Catholic, Cathedral Catholic.
Yeah, I think as you said, there's not really a ton to take out of that opening game. And you and I were both there to see that one. Modern day, so much has changed since then. They lost their first 4, but they've now won 7 in a row. And during that 7-game winning streak, they've allowed 9 total points. All of those came last week against La Costa. I think guys are getting healthy. Guys are getting back into the groove. Offensively, they figured out what guys have stepped up and can make some plays, because they did have a big running back injury early on to Nico Mosley. So I like modern day Catholic in this one. The way they've been playing, I think offensively they get it to click again. I don't think it'll be a shutout as they've had in over these last couple of months with almost all the games, but I think they find a way to get this one and get back to a section title.
Tommy Morris, your thoughts?
Yeah, McClure, George, Buncombe. I'll even throw Hall in there. The receivers for modern day Catholic, probably the best in the county. Very tough to cover. I know Cathedral's seen some good teams, but I know for a fact modern day's had this thing proverbially scheduled on or circled on the schedule, because it wasn't technically scheduled yet. But they've wanted this rematch since game 1, and they want another chance to prove themselves against Cathedral. I think they do prove themselves this week. It will be a close game, but I think modern day finally gets that the victory. Again, they have those 4 in a row. They wanted 1, to be able to prove they're in that echelon. I think they prove it this weekend, and it will be a moderate victory.
We always give shout outs and everything across the board to all the coaches that make it to this point. It's a great tribute and testament to what you've done during the year. But I think that if we're talking about modern day making the Division I finals, the year that they jump from D3 to D1, that in and of itself is a success for Joyner. Yes. Like that's not,
yes.
There is no going home truly disappointed if they win this week, right?
Yeah, I think preseason everyone's circling open, but look, Open's 4. It's not just some guarantee just because preseason everyone talks that way. Like for what they've dealt with, being able to turn things around, if they can win this week and get back there, it has to be a success for me.
Deal. Make sure you guys stay up to date with all the scores, highlights, analysis, everything like that by downloading the SB Live Sports app or visiting scorebooklive.com onto the Open Division.